Hi friends and welcome to the channel. My name is Ryan Abair and this is where I share my insights. And today I'm talking about the power of wanting less. And this is not necessarily about wanting less material goods, although that does fit into it. This is about living wantonly, living with passion, and living with total abandonment for what most people think they need. Stick around and we're going to unpack the power of wanting less. When I get really honest with myself, I realized that everything I always wanted was more than I needed. And I think if you give it a second thought, have you heard that before? Let me give it a second thought. In that second thought, you realize, I really don't need it in the ways my mind is telling me I need it. I just haven't given myself enough of a chance to adjust to waiting a little bit, right? To meet the moment and to really consider what I need. And this is what happens to us, is that we bite off too much of the future and count that as hunger, you see. And this is greedy. And I want you to know that greed and lack are the same. Greed and lack are two sides of a fear about something that never comes, the future. So if you really examine the things that you think you want, you are hungry for too much. And that hunger is an illusion. Most people need that cushion. You see what I'm saying? Like, we buy too much because we're too much in the future. We save too much because we're too much in the future. And we have pantries full of food because that makes us feel safe, but it doesn't. You think that makes you feel safe. And you have bank accounts full of money and you think that makes you feel safe. So you keep stockpiling and keep wanting more. And this prevents us from ever enjoying anything we have. It prevents us from being grateful for anything we have. It prevents us from using things happily, right? It took me a long time to enjoy my work, to enjoy, this sounds weird, but to enjoy using my resources. Because I thought none would come later. You know, I don't realize just how good of a provider I am. And that's what's happening to you if you don't ever seem to have enough. You don't trust that you are a provider. You don't trust that you'll ever tap into the creative mind to be able to sustain yourself even in a downturn, an economic downturn. Do you know how many people got rich in the pandemic? How many people profit from what looks like downturns. It's because people don't realize that downturns are opportunities. And I think it's Tony Robbins who says you got to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to sort of see how you will do it, right? Sometimes we have to squeeze ourselves into tight spaces to see just how resourceful we can be. Which is, I've said that before. But if you examine what you have enough now. And you're off the hook. You're all right. You know, Eckhart Tolle is always talking about, well, in the present moment, where are your problems? And he's right. They disappear the more immediate, the more intimate, this is a great way to say this, the more intimate you become with what's here now, you realize that what's here now has always been enough. So to live with this sense of wanting less gives you freedom because you trust it. You got to live a little to begin to trust yourself that you are a wonderful provider for yourself. And this is our purpose, to realize that we are abundant. That word gets tossed around a lot, abundant. But abundance is something that really would imply greed. Too much. Right? And so you have people saying the world is abundant and people are poor and lacking and struggling. But abundance is something that is realized now. Like, okay, today I have another day. Today I've got enough food in my kitchen for now. I've got breakfast. It's early in the morning over here, so I've got breakfast. I know I've got that. I have enough gas in the tank. I've got enough food in the pantry. I've got enough food in the refrigerator. And you start taking inventory and you realize, well, shit, I got too much. Now it's greed. So you have to give yourself an adjustment, and I call it the second thought, you know. Or when we give it a second thought, or maybe we don't need it. We just haven't spent time adjusting. And this is the same thing for people who are lonely. They haven't met the moment. They're afraid to be alone because they've never done it. So whatever it is that you haven't done, you want to do it. You want to put yourself in those unfamiliar places. And Tony Robbins is correct. You want to make yourself uncomfortable. Wanting less is the experimentation with creativity. Like, okay, I'm down to $5. I'm down to my last little bit. So I'm going to spend $2.50 on a sandwich, and the rest of the money I'm going to buy a bouquet of flowers and kick up my heels. I'm never going to stop enjoying spending my resources, using what I have now. That's what really opens the floodgate for abundance, is simply just living with abandonment. Throwing caution to the wind and living with a sense of carefreeness. Now that's different than being careless. I know somebody who blows his money in. It's all compulsive. It's about recognizing the second thought. Getting a little bit closer to the moment and realizing you're okay. I call it developing your eyes of faith, which is a lot like night vision. You're plopped down into a dark forest at night. Well, if you stop and pause and give it a second thought, your beautiful eyes will go from these little tiny constricted pupils and they will dilate. So spiritual awareness is a dilation of fear. It's a disillusion. It's a dissolving of fear. It's like having the veil pulled back ever so slightly. like the dilation of a pupil. If you just wait a little bit, give it some second thought, take some inventory, pause a little bit, get comfortable in that weird place. Okay, I don't have a paycheck right now. Okay, I don't have a partner right now. Okay, I don't have anything to do right now. That's okay. I guess I don't need anything. Even if my bank account is zero and my pantry is empty, if I am not in dire need or anything, I can be okay. Maybe even I can fast a little bit. And so then you convert to what I would say is living wantonly. Now that word, I'm going to type it in here, wantonly. I'm going to look it up for you. To live wantonly is to live in a deliberate and unprovoked way. That's the first definition of it. It also can be considered reckless. That's a fine line between careless and stupid, compulsive. Reckless can be, okay, I've given it a second thought. You know what? I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy what little I have now. I'm going to give thanks for what I have now. So you have to kind of give it the second thought, let your night vision develop, that sort of thing. Here's another wonderful definition of the word wantonly, is to live in a lustful or sexually unrestrained way. That's interesting. Well, that's how you have mind-blowing sex, is when you don't have these inhibitions. And you don't have to take substances. And you're completely comfortable in your own skin. Your partner is comfortable in their own skin. There's no hang-ups about what do I look like and what do I smell like. That is a complete giving way to nature. You don't have to lose 10 pounds before you get naked in front of your partner. You know they're into you and you're into them. That's living wantonly. There's no need to change anything. Another definition of wantonly is profusely. It's just the abundance is profusely ingrained in nature. If you pause and look around, it's like, wow, look at all these. I wish I could show you these flowers here. They're just, and the beautiful, abundant energy all around. And it's quiet, so you got to give it a second thought to hear it and feel it. And then the last thing about wantonly is that it's in a playful or lively way, right? So when you want less, it's a wonderful way of making space for this new kind of living with abandon and to finally enjoy. Don't wait until you get to be 50 before you enjoy anything. Now, I do not have enough money to live and to be a ripe old age. I do not. And if I could pull up my bank statements, I would. I have enough for now, and I think that's all I've ever needed. I've come to that conclusion that now is all, whatever is there now, is all I've needed, and I can enjoy what I have. I may not have enough money to buy an airplane, but I can buy an airplane ticket and go somewhere. I may not have enough to buy a mansion, but I can live opulently in my home and peacefully, you know. And then you just get to the point where it's all gravy. But wanting less is a wonderful way to make room for just how abundant life is. And that's not to say that you will not have wants. You will continue to have wants, but they just won't be necessary. I gotta have it. You can be okay single, alone, poor, rich, with or without. When you examine after a second thought and your eyes dilate and you meet the moment, you have always provided for yourself in the moment as the so-called need arises. Most of what we think we need is too far down the road. So, give it a second thought. Let your pupils dilate. Get closer to what you're afraid of. And you realize you're okay. That's the power of wanting less. It fills you with peace. My name is Ryan Hebert. I hope you enjoyed my insights today, and thank you for joining me on this lovely morning. MyMorningMotivator.com. That's the name of my blog. Check it out.